The Transformation, a narration based on the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, 1886. The candle flickered in the study as Henry Jekyll stood before his chemical apparatus, his hands trembling with anticipation and dread. For months, he had labored over this formula, this crystalline powder that promised liberation from the chains of Victorian respectability. The respectable doctor, the gentleman of science, was about to commit an act that would forever alter the course of his existence. He had pondered the duality of human nature for years, through countless sleepless nights and fevered studies. Every man, he believed, was not truly one but two, pulled between nobility and baseness, virtue and vice, righteousness and wickedness. What if, he wondered in his most daring moments, these two natures could be separated? What if the angelic could be divorced from the demonic, allowing each to exist in its purest form, uncompromised by the other? The potion sat before him now, its contents swirling with an unsettling luminescence. The mixture had changed colors as he prepared it, from a deep purple to a watery green, and finally to a dark, blood-red hue that seemed to pulse with malevolent life. Steam rose from the glass, curling upward like spirits ascending from the underworld. This was no ordinary scientific experiment. This was an attempt to remake the very fabric of human identity. Jekyll's colleagues would have called him mad. Society would have branded him a heretic, a danger to the moral fabric of civilization itself. But standing alone in his laboratory, with only the shadows as witnesses and the distant sounds of London's respectable streets beyond his windows, he felt the intoxicating pull of forbidden knowledge. He had spent his entire life maintaining appearances, suppressing desires, conforming to expectations. The weight of respectability had grown crushing. How many times had he smiled when he wished to scowl? How many impulses had he buried beneath layers of propriety? With a mixture of terror and exhilaration, he raised the glass to his lips. The liquid was bitter to the tongue, acrid beyond description. As it coursed down his throat, a sensation unlike anything he had ever experienced began to grip his body. It started as a grinding pain in the bones, as though his very skeleton was being restructured. His muscles convulsed. A nausea of such intensity swept through him that he thought he might die on the spot. But then came something else, something magnificent and terrible. A feeling of liberation, of chains breaking, of walls crumbling. The moral restraints that had governed his every action seemed to dissolve like mist before the morning sun. In their place arose impulses he had never dared acknowledge. He felt younger, lighter, more vigorous. The weariness that comes from decades of self-denial evaporated. When he finally stumbled to the mirror, gasping and disoriented, the face that stared back was not his own. It was younger, smaller, more wicked in aspect. The features were twisted, bearing the stamp of malevolence and depravity. This was not Henry Jekyll, physician and gentleman. This was someone, something else entirely. A creature unburdened by conscience, unfettered by social convention, free to pursue every dark desire without fear of judgment or consequence. He had succeeded beyond his wildest imaginings. The angel and the demon had been separated. But as he gazed at this new reflection, studying the unfamiliar contours of this stranger's face, a cold realization began to creep through his euphoria. In freeing one nature, had he created something he could control? Or had he unleashed something that would ultimately control him? The transformation was complete. Dr. Jekyll had become Mr. Hyde, and London would never be the same.